Hi, everybody, and welcome to the As You Are podcast. My name is Leslie Vanderganst, founder of Enso Coaching and Consulting, and I'm here with two of our amazing coaches, Annie and Libby.
Hello.
And heyo.
Heyo.
And we are really lucky today because we get to have a friend, former colleague,
Yes.
and author, Lucas Sherraden.
Yes.
Oh.
Kind of famous in the KW ecosystem, now famous in the place system. That's you, Lucas. Famous.
Oh, that was me. I was waiting for this guy to show up.
Well, we're so excited to have you. We had the amazing opportunity to work really closely with you, Lucas, at kind of the tail end of our time at Keller Williams, and you've become a friend of ours. We always joke because we're both biracial Korean. I don't know that there's a lot of those running around. I don't mean to exclude you guys.
Wow.
But this is
Yeah.
you don't know what I am.
Yeah.
Us half Koreans are taking over the world.
That's right. That's right. Taking over, talking about leadership, whatever. But yeah, we're really excited to have you.
Yeah, excited to be here. It's fun to reunite, and I think of all the things that I look at my journey and your journey, the real relationships, the real friendships are the gold mine of it all. So
It really is. It really is.
here's the thing: they can't take results away from you, and can't take real relationships away
That's
from you.
right. That's right. Well, so Lucas, let's start at the beginning. How did you, because we all knew you when you were the regional director, regional owner, et cetera. But what was your journey to get there?
Well, the journey to get to the regional director role is, I think I'm a sucker for the word opportunity.
Mm.
And, I've always, for years and years, I really wanted to deeply impact the world. And then the whole wealth building journey came along and those two started tying together. I was a pastor for 20 years before I got into real estate, and got into real estate in 2008 and went broke really, really
I was
quick.
like, what a great year. Yeah.
I watched 3 episodes of House Hunters, and I thought that real estate would be a great career.
Do that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 30 minutes and 3
Like, this
houses
is-
later,
yeah.
and get the big realtor check. And I went broke. We went $125,000 of credit card debt, was using credit cards to buy gas and groceries and lines of credit to pay minimums on credit cards. So I was using debt to pay debt. Real honestly, transparently, I went into a deep, dark depression, filled with anxiety, was on medication, was even suicidal at one point. So it was just super, super scary. And I thought maybe I should go back into ministry just because I wanted money. And then do you really want to be the guy that preaches just because you need money? And
Right.
at that time, somebody recruited me from Remax to Keller Williams, and it changed my life. And so then when they introduced me to the idea of growing KW offices, I was like, well, I know how to grow churches.
Yeah.
And this company, and basically the church world and KW is not that different, because it's like you're trying to change the world with basically a bunch of 1031 non-employee, 1099 non-employees. And so I was used to that. And so coming into the team leader role was a big deal for me and easy. But I think like the journey of the book was, I remember there was a day I was selling real estate, deeply in debt. And I was out in the middle of the gym, and at that time we had 2 middle school girls and a high school boy, and they played basketball all afternoon. And somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, how's the real estate industry?" And of course we lie. We say it's great. and, and then they say, "No, but specifically, Mr. Sherraden, how's your business?" And I said something, because I love self-deprecating humor because there's just a lot of material to work with. And so, right. And so I said, and it's to a fault, actually. It's like, as if I will ever sell a house. Ha, 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 ha. And at that time, my 8th grade daughter, Danielle, walks up and hears me make that comment. And I still remember this exact moment. She's in her basketball uniform, her Southwest Christian Academy basketball uniform. And she looks up at me, big brown eyes, puts her hand on my arm and says, "You are a good real estate agent, aren't you, Dad?" And at that moment, I answered her. I said, "Yes, sweetheart, I am." And I finished the statement in my head, and I wasn't 10 seconds ago. And I realized success wasn't about a tactic. Success was about all the chatter going on inside of my head, and all the stories that I had said, and that you're a failure, you're a loser, you're going to get rejected, nobody wants to hear from you, all the stuff. And if anybody's ever faced depression, it's not anybody else's voices that matter. It's the voice that you constantly are hearing yourself talk about. And so I began a journey then, Leslie, of is there any way I could, number one, can I stop the chatter? But number two, can I hijack the chatter and use it to my advantage? And so that began a whole journey where I started learning how to tell myself what I needed to tell myself in order to get what I want, which is
Mhm.
the definition, some people's definition of leadership is teaching people how to think. It's interesting because I've heard that. And then those people who say leadership is teaching people how to think, then they force the thought that they have on you. They don't teach you how to think. They just
For
take
yourself.
thought, think this thought and give it to you. And that's not teaching a person how to think.
Mhm.
So that's really how the journey began. And that's over 10 years ago. So
What caused you to shift from the ministry to real estate?
yeah, my last year in ministry, I flew 125,000 miles, and I was
Mm.
literally missing when I say we were homeschooling at that time, we is an exceptionally liberal word.
Yeah.
I and honestly, I came to a moment where I was in Andhra Pradesh, India, and I just preached to a crowd, I think, of 50,000, 60,000 people
Mm.
that night. And I got off the stage and I'm Skyping. This tells you how old it is. I was Skyping my kids, right? And I was telling Caleb, do your math. Danielle, practice your violin. And I realized during the month of January of 2008, that's all that parenting was going to look like for me.
Mm.
So when I closed my laptop at about 1:30 in the morning, for me, it was God. You do you. But for me, it was God. I had this voice go in my head that said, you've traveled the world and played with everybody else's kids. Now it's time to come home and play with your own.
Oh, yeah.
And so I literally canceled 56 preaching gigs, resigned my church when I came home. And seriously, you guys think I'm joking. Watched 3 episodes of House Hunters that thought real estate would be a great career.
Yeah. And here we
And
are.
here we
Yeah,
are.
and here we are.
Brilliant guy, Andy Swift. Brilliant
Yeah.
guy. Let me
But also
It works.
3
Yeah.
episodes of
I was
House
like,
Hunters, and you have built
and you've done pretty well.
you've built quite a business behind you.
I think thank you for that. I'm still swinging at the pitch of making a difference.
Mhm.
Every day I do affirmations just because I'm trying to convince myself of what I know to be true in my head that's not always in my heart. But like even this morning, and thinking even about this podcast was I altered the course of human history today. I wrote that. I altered the
Mhm.
course because the goal isn't to make money. The goal is to make a difference. And
Mhm.
any, I literally, it's a math problem. We could teach anybody how to make money if you're willing to do the math and do the time. Not everybody's out to make a difference, and I think that's why we honestly connected really well because I was reflecting on a picture you just sent to me not too long ago, Leslie, and I'm like, gosh, you know what? That journey was, yes, it was a mechanism, it was a vehicle, and it was a company. It was a lot of fun to have some great results and get recognized for those. But at the end of the day, did we really matter?
Right.
Do we really make a difference? And I
Mhm.
have to say, because I know of people who say that those time periods really, really helped them. So that's the pitch I'm still swinging at.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you don't know the difference that you're making when you're in the middle of it, or you don't know what the impact is, but,
When you come out on
sometimes
the
it
other
is just
side, yeah.
yeah, sometimes it is incremental, sometimes it is small, sometimes large, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, and you were given a lot of opportunities to impact a lot of
Was.
people throughout that time period.
And we kinda laughed before we hit recording that there's some commonalities in our leadership journey, and here's the thing is I've been in leadership rooms where it's been high level, and I've been in some leadership settings that's been toxic, but
Mhm.
here's actually, this is when I got ownership back, is like, what was inside of me that actually performed in a toxic leadership? It wasn't about the toxic leader, it was about why did I
Why did
actually
you?
perform at that, and
Yeah.
why did I stay to that? And when I started doing that, I got agency back because once I become a victim of anybody else's idiocy or
Mhm.
anybody else's brokenness, they're doing the best that they can.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's all that
With what
they
they
know.
have,
Th
right,
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
they're doing all the best they can. Once I made peace with that, then actually the book, actually, it was about a year and a half ago that the book started flowing. It's like,
Mhm.
instead of complaining, which is, anybody who wants to complain about a toxic leader is just howling at the moon. It's like, they're gonna be there.
Right,
It's
right.
my relation, and you know what? Let them. Let them do themselves, and I started looking, I get agency back, and so what's the story I need to tell myself? So I began, it's called narrative psychology or learning how to do pattern interrupts. How do I tell myself and lead with curiosity and awareness instead of leading with judgment and
Mhm.
lack of self-awareness? Leslie,
Yeah.
I found as I was researching this book, I found a study out of Harvard Business School. Tasha Urich did a study, and this is staggering and frightening and very reflecting all of the same thing. But she did a study, I think it was in 2008 or 2018, on self awareness and discovered that 95% of Americans believe that they're self aware. Only 10% are.
Checks
So think
out.
about this.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to go to Miami tomorrow to teach to a group of about 100 people. In that room, I'm gonna have 100 people, all of them convinced that they're self-aware.
Mhm.
Only 10 of them statistically are, and all 100 believe that they're one of the 10.
Well, so Lucas, can we back up just a little bit? When you came to that realization that oh, this is something that I need to reflect on, what was the journey of getting there? And then what did you do? Like, how did you manage that for yourself?
What was the dream?
What was the journey to get
Oh, the
to, oh, this is a me thing? Like, what is causing me? Like, how did you get to that realization?
Yeah, I found myself, and just because this is recorded, I'm not going to go into great details because I don't want to disparage anyone. But I found myself, other people could control me really easily. Or,
Mhm.
wow, why did that person not give me that moment on the stage? Or why did that person not give me that attention? I'm like, wait a second, I'm abdicating my power all the time. I'm giving away my
Mhm.
power to outside sources. And I actually went to a 3-day conference and recommend it with some reservations, but the Landmark Education, which was massive in my life. It's like nothing has meaning except for the meaning we attach, and I was attaching meanings that was making me very disempowered.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That I was like, like a dog waiting for somebody to throw out a bone, and I was chasing stuff, and I wanted approval, and I wanted applause,
Mhm.
and honestly, there's a lot of companies that are built upon this celebrity mindset
Right.
that if you don't get the applause, you're nobody, and if you don't get the attention, you're nobody, and if you don't get talked about, you're listen, I'm helping people realize that I don't care what the outside world says, it's what the inside world,
Yeah.
and it's Stephen Covey's, it's start from the inside out, unfortunately. And we laugh about me being half Korean, but I don't know if it's from heritage of my Asian background or if it's because of I was rewarded heavily for being chasing the outside, but for whatever reason, I was chasing something that never was going to ever satisfy. And I climbed the ladder of
Mhm.
success to realize the ladder leaned against the wrong freaking wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to take my power back. And at the same time, interestingly enough, because I'm a nerd, I was watching like a National Geographic or something, and they did this huge build up to there, and they had this lion in the back of a that was raised in captivity, and it was the back of the truck. They're gonna get, it's with a British accent or Australian accent. I get them all confused, but it's like we're gonna release this person back into the wild. And it's terrible impersonation, but they released this lion, and the lion literally walked out of the cage, took a look around, breathed in the air, looked at his new found freedom, and walked back into the cage.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the cage, Annie, is very comfortable. The
Yes.
cage, and when I lead from a cage, it's gonna look like control, it's gonna look like fear, it's gonna look like intimidation, it's gonna look like manipulation, it's
Mhm.
gonna look like head games, it's gonna look like a lot of things that's just not healthy, and
Right.
unfortunately, I think some in our society could get results that way, but you can't make an impact that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really easy thing to be so heavily influenced externally,
Yeah.
and I think it takes a lot for a person to stop and say, "Well, how do I choose to define success?" Because I think
Yep.
we're fed a lot. Our environment, I mean, any environment can influence how we determine what success is or how success is defined, and until we take a minute to say, "Okay, but is this aligned with what
For
my true
me.
values are?"
Mhm.
And I think this is where, burnout happens, is when we're so out of alignment with what's true internally versus what is being fed to us and what we're trying to chase and
Yep.
why. There's so many things that we've learned along the way around how do I get to my highest and best self? Well, align to what I value and
Yeah.
align to what I believe success looks like versus having somebody tell me that and then me trying to fit myself into this mold that is not mine.
And
Right.
that will
Mhm.
change with every new boss you have,
A
every new friend you
100%.
make, every new everything.
Right.
Everybody's gonna have a different perspective on what
Right.
that should look like for you.
Yeah.
Right,
And
exactly.
it's
So
an
we're just
endless
putty.
chase.
We're just
Well,
putty being pulled and stretched, and
and
then
I
it's weird and deformed, when it actually,
yeah.
detaches.
And I think it's interesting too, Lucas, you said something about you were like climbing the ladder and I've leaned it up against the wrong building. I think that that's such a thing right now that I know as coaches, as we see a lot of, is people that are like, have just climbed the ladder. They haven't looked down. They haven't looked to see what it
Mhm.
was
That's
leaned
right.
up against.
Mhm.
They're just like, I'm going to get to the top. Of
I wanna get to
course,
the top.
Mhm.
you'd
Yeah.
never make it to the top.
Right.
But people are starting to look around and say, hey,
I don't
I
like
don't
this
I don't like this
ladder.
ladder. I don't like
That's
this
right.
building. How did I get here? And then are having to, slowly come back down and actually look inside and see like why did I start this to begin with?
Mhm,
What was I
mhm.
chasing? What do I want?
Exactly. It's funny. I think I've talked to you about this but I have a daughter and I've told her for years, sweetheart, just make sure you like the person as much as you want them to like you. And I think it's the same for work.
Yeah.
Like we're chasing being accepted
Yeah.
that we forget to slow down and go, is this somebody that I want in my life? Is this a work relationship that I want in my life? Or am I just obsessed with them accepting me?
Right.
Right.
Because you haven't established what are the values that really that
Exactly.
are mine.
Yeah.
And should I be
Andy,
chasing this opportunity?
Andy, I think that is absolutely brilliant because it's like all that's glitter is not gold.
Yeah.
And I think that like in my journey, the cage, the performance, needing to have an exterior performance mechanism or some sort of outside myself thing.
Yeah.
I think having chased that for so long, the seduction is we don't really know what we want and why we want it. And so I think we were all in the room when somebody said vision is a decision, which I've thought about that for years. Vision is a decision, but here's the catch to it. It's either a decision I make for me or the world stands ready to impose its vision for me upon me.
100%.
And if I don't do that, I'm living somebody else's life. I'm living somebody else's, somebody else's steps. I'm not running my own journey. And now, like for me, Annie, what I do when I go into business is I look at the person that I'm thinking about partnering with and say, would I spend Friday evenings with this person? Do I like them? Do I aspire to be like them in any sense of the word? And if the answer is no or a yellow light, if it's not a heck yeah, it's a no. I just don't do it because who I'm aligned with matters more to me than the money that we're gonna make, and what I found out is when I have alignment, we'll make all the money that we wanna make. But money is just really money making is just a math problem. Any kind of success is just a math problem, and if I could get the math right, do the activities, I could be a jackass and still get the result.
Right.
However, I just desire, I wanna deeply make an impact, right?
So it sounds simple in concept, have your own values and all of that. And I also read a little bit about the book, which we do want to hear about, but it clearly is not these are quick hacks that are going to change your life or whatever. Like
Overnight success.
changing how
Yeah.
you perceive
5 easy steps with
That's
Andy.
it.
yeah,
Yes.
to stop caring about what the world thinks about you. But what is the process?
Yeah, and Annie, honestly, for me, that's the challenge in writing this book because I've sent it to some people like, "Wow, I don't get it." I'm like, "Yeah, because you're looking for a tactical guide."
Yeah.
I think Annie, to answer that question, is if I can approach life with curiosity instead of judgment, if I can approach life with curiosity versus labeling things, and, for me, I found a couple of models that I introduced in the book where it's like, if I could find ways to interrupt myself before I tell a story and get into curiosity about what else can it mean, then I find I get myself curiosity gives me my power back.
Yeah.
Judgment kills off
Yes.
possibilities.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, I've had to be careful about not judging things I didn't like about my past or past leaders because once I judge them, I kill off all possibilities, but once I be curious, wow, so for me, like, in real estate, Libby, I was, like, lead generation, I hired a coach, she was mean as a snake, and she wanted me to call 20 expired listings every day, which was it was, like, totally against my personality. I'm a relationship guy, I'm not gonna cold call, I did all the nonsense.
Yeah.
However, one day I was going and for 3 months, I had a terrible attitude and got no business from, doing that, but I'm driving to the office one day, and I have this picture in my mind, and there's a couple at breakfast, that are praying that day saying, "You know what? Our house hasn't sold for 6 months, so we just need to pray about this." And they're like, "God, could you help us out? We need to sell our house." Back to me in the car, "God, I wanna call enough expired listings to find the person praying that prayer and call them today and be an answer to their prayer. They don't even know my name." For me, that was massively exciting because I'm not looking for a deal. I'm looking to answer somebody's prayer. And so I would literally call people. Yeah, it was total reframe. I was telling myself a different story. So I would call people and they'd yell at me and say, "You stupid angels call me." I'd hang up the phone and say, "Well, they didn't pray the prayer." Next call.
That wasn't them.
That's
Yeah.
great.
They
What a
never
great-
probably prayed. They probably sacrificed goats on Friday nights. It's like
They were not
I would do what you guys are
ready
doing.
for
I
you.
would laugh, and it would reset me emotionally, and I just pick up the phone and call the next person.
Yeah.
It's interesting that next year, I went on to sell 50 expired listings.
Oh, wow.
Most of them came back to me at some point during the transaction and said something of this nature. "You know, it's so weird. The day that you called us, we just happened to be praying about it that morning." It's interesting because seeking you will find.
Mhm.
And honestly, if we're finding it on some levels, we're seeking it. So the dysfunctional relationships, the healthy relationships, on
Right.
some levels, I was seeking those things. When I own everything, then anything could become possible. When I abdicate my power, nothing's possible. And so
Mhm.
for me, I found out if I could be more curious about life and curate curiosity and be more self-aware of the stories I'm telling myself, I put myself back in the seat of power. And then no matter what
Mhm.
happens, I could create whatever I want out of my life.
Yeah.
Lucas, there's something that's so timely about this concept that you're introducing, which is, we are inundated with information. We're inundated with opinion. We're inundated with like strong emotional reactions to every single thing that is out there in the world. And if we don't have a strong frame of reference for ourselves, this is where I think the pushing and pulling that Annie was talking
Mhm.
about earlier becomes so much more great because it's not
Mhm.
just in the workplace, it is in every facet, every
Uh,
decision, every speech we make, everything that we prepare, everything that we, you know,
Fear of
sh-
being canceled
a
and all
hundred
of the
percent. It's
yeah.
all over the place. And I think this is where it does change how we respond if we have made a conscious effort to align ourselves to our values. If somebody pushes against that, it's a really easy response to say, but this is aligned with my values. And if you don't like that, I can respect your perspective, but it's not going to impact me in a really negative way or cause me to respond in a really negative way, either internally or externally, right?
Yeah, I had a very influential person that I was in their circles for a while and stepped out, wanted me to come back into their circle, offered me a great role. It was like, that's very easy, no. And it's not even emotionally
Mhm.
charged, no, because it's just not in alignment with I'm not judging the person or the opportunity. It's a great opportunity for the right person. But for me, it's like I know better now who I am. Somebody asked me lastly, well, Lucas, why are you the man to write this book? Because it's a very different leadership book than what's
Mhm.
typically written.
Mhm.
Why are you the man? I'm go, well, I'm not sure I can answer that question except for saying it's really kind of like one beggar telling another beggar where to go find bread. It's like one person on the journey of becoming aware and unraveling the stories I've told myself that have disempowered me and finding some tactics that help.
Mhm.
Telling somebody else, this may help you. Just start getting more curious and being aware that your emotional reactions and triggers are indicators of something going on there if you wanna take a
Mhm.
look at it.
Yeah.
And
I was
honestly, I've hired a lot of coaches. I've hired a lot of coaches, and I still go to a therapist just because it's like well, the truth is, if I'm gonna no, there's 2 fears when you write a book. I don't know if you if you know this. 2 fears. 1, that nobody but your family will buy it, and I probably will have to fund it if my family buys. In fact, I have already funded it with one of my daughters said, "Hey, dad, I wanna pre-order your book. Can I borrow 20 bucks?" Like,
like, that's not how that works.
and then number 2, the other fear is equally as great. What if it does my goal is to sell 1,000,000 copies and I don't have a path to it. What if it does work? And, oh,
Mhm.
crap. And so I'm going to a therapist just in case it does work so that I'm making sure that I'm mentally not stimulated by the fact that it's successful because I don't want that
Mhm.
to be my life. In fact, for me, I took money off the equation on this book, so 100% of the profits I'm giving away to stopping human trafficking.
Fantastic.
Partner with
Aw.
I'm
Fantastic.
gonna partner with the Dream Centers in Phoenix, Arizona, and Tim
Love it.
Tebow's organization.
Love
So
it.
now all of a sudden, I don't wanna sell 1,000,000 copies because my ego needs a
Amazing.
stroke.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd like to give away $3 to $4 million to stopping human trafficking, so I
Mhm.
will literally get on this is the 3rd podcast today I've been on because 'cause I'm telling everybody, "Buy the book because 'cause I'm gonna think it's a new voice in helping leaders get free and get out of the political franchise craziness that you're in and learn how to lead because of your authentic self."
Mhm.
Help you do that, but any proceeds that I get, I'm gonna give it away completely,
I
so,
love that.
That's amazing.
Lucas, we have an organization that we work really closely with around human
really,
trafficking,
Mhm.
so we'll make sure to
well,
connect you.
please do, because Leslie, this is the thing in my mind when when I was in ministry, I remember playing with a child, a 9-year-old girl on, her orphanage floor, and, she had elephantitis, which is a dysfunction
Mhm.
that's very rare, but huge head, some mental challenges. And I said, "Tell me her story." He said, "Well, last week we picked her up with the trash." I said, "What do you mean picked her up with the trash?" Because in that part of the world, if a parent gets to a place where they don't know what to do with their child, they put them out with the trash, and the pimps come along and collect the trash.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so they said they follow the trash collectors around. I'm like, "This is a 9-year-old girl.
Mhm.
Yeah, she could." be sex trafficked if we're I'm like, "Wait a second," and then I found out there's between 8 and 11 million people in there's more people in slavery today than in any other point in human history.
Yep.
I don't understand. I really don't
It's
understand
hard
this.
to wrap your head around, right?
Why in the world are we not rioting in the streets of America
Right.
and burning down houses? I
Right.
mean, why are we not picketing every politician? Well, there's a lot of
Probably
reasons,
because we're not clear on what our purpose and our values are, and we're chasing something externally. Lucas, if I
I
had to guess,
I just don't know why we're not
you
doing
know?
that. So you know what?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't do everything about it, but gosh, if you guys could help me market a book to sell 1,000,000 copies, I'll give away $4,000,000 in
Love
a
it.
heartbeat to stopping that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I just love and I'm grateful for somebody who's willing to write the book about leadership that is not here's how to lead others or how to motivate others or how to get others to do what you want them to do
Yes.
before like you haven't
it's just called
done your
manipulation.
own you haven't done the work yet to
Right.
earn that seat
Yeah.
yet. And so many leadership books are about how to influence out, and this
And
is
you've been in the
refreshing.
room. You've been in the room actually where I was put in the positions of leadership where I had no business being a part of those leadership, and it
I
was
mean,
just
I
because
think
I
we
got
can all
results.
say the same. Yeah.
I just got just because I got results at a brokerage, and just because I could mimic a message, it's like now you're going to give me a position of leadership. Who's talking about my character? Because any bozo can learn skills, but character
Right.
has to be
You were ready
earned
to
on a day
lead
to
the
day.
work,
100%.
but are you really
That's right.
ready to lead people is a
Mhm.
totally different thing.
And most of the leadership, not most, I can't say that. A lot of leadership books and seminars I go to is just tell me how to manipulate people to get them to conform to
Get
what
them
I
to
want.
do what
Bend
I
them
want.
to do what you want them to do. Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
honestly, if I can't lead, Ben Kinney has a great leadership pyramid that at the base of it is lead yourself, and then you get to
Mhm.
lead others, and then
Yeah,
develop leaders that
100%.
attract leaders.
Yeah.
And so if I can't lead myself, then what in the world am I doing leading others? And if I say you made me mad or you pissed me off, well, then I guess what? I didn't lead myself because you just led me
Uh-huh.
because you made me mad.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think that we have been around a lot of leaders in the past who have made comments like, it's easy to lead if you just do X, if you just
Mhm.
follow this model, if you just do this. And I think the thing that and part of and I love this conversation, Lucas, because we're very aligned, right? Like, I think this is, we have a 4 pillars, and pillar 4, which we believe is the most important, is self-awareness and management, right? Like, how do you become aware, and then how do you manage the things that you need to manage before you can actually influence others? And the reality is leadership is so complicated because, to your point, curiosity has to be a driving factor, simply because humans are all made up of different thoughts, beliefs,
Mhm.
patterns of thinking, experiences, whatever, to try to put a blanket approach on how you're going to
Yeah.
lead a group of individuals. The 2-step process or the 5-step process of leadership
Yep.
is just it's inaccurate. I mean, there's no possible way. And part of the reason why we've built this organization is because we don't think that people in business have enough time to focus on the level of depth that you need to have in order to manage yourself, but then also manage your team,
Yeah.
and then get all the stuff done that has to get done in a business day, right? So we're 100% aligned, and I think the challenge is remembering that it is not a simple silver bullet. It is
Right.
not a 3-step process, but a journey. And I think you said this earlier, right? I'm on the journey. This is the first step of the journey in leadership, which makes sense.
Yeah, I think that if we understand that we're Dr. Ryan Leake wrote a book called How to Work with Complicated People. And the punchline of the book is he gets through this whole book at the end of it. He says, and the reason why it's tough to work with complicated people is because I am one. And,
100%.
and if I understand, I've got all these stories, and when somebody tells me to do X, Y, and Z, and I have an emotional reaction, or my wife tells me something, or my kids tell me something, or somebody that I'm partnered with tells me something, and if I'm dealing with all this stuff, and I have an organization of 1,000 people, they're all dealing with this stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm expected to
Exactly.
lead. We don't lead people, we lead their perception of the world,
Mhm.
and their
Yes.
perception is based upon experiences that literally the 4 of us have had to make tens of billions of decisions to get right here, right now, to be able to say these exact words in this exact moment. It's taken billions of decisions to get here, and we think just do these 5 easy steps and you're a better leader.
Right. Right.
And I think it's because our brain craves certainty. And honestly, there is a place for leaders to be very certain. This is what we're going to do. Here we
Exactly.
go.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't disagree with that. But if I think it's just that simple, and I could, I wish it were. It's not
We'd be
because
out of business.
Yeah.
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 yeah, I could train my chat GPT to be that simple. I just can't train
Exactly.
human beings to be
Yeah.
that simple.
100%. Okay, so Lucas, tell us about the book, when it
Mhm.
launches, and what you're really excited about.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I've never been nervous speaking in front of a crowd of people. It doesn't matter what size it is. If it's 5 people, 5,000, 500,000, it doesn't make a difference. Been on TV, that nothing like that makes me nervous. This book has raised every one of my internal stories and my own insecurity.
Mm.
Because, like, what if they hate it? What if they read it like that? In fact, I've already had somebody read a pre-copy and say, "I don't know that I agree with this," and I already feel that thing to
Mm.
defend and to it's like, this is a great thing for a person to do to surface their own insecurities, and
Yeah.
so I'm excited about the journey of who I must become in order to have a book that's out there that you can't edit.
Right.
This is like,
Right.
if I post something stupid about guys, "Did you just post that?" I could take it down, or I could edit it.
Right, right,
You know, it's
exactly.
like
Exactly.
or if I say something stupid, like, "I don't know that I meant it that way," you just it landed wrong. But boy, once you're in a book number 1, I'm excited about the personal journey, but number 2, I really do think that it's about impacting the world. I share in chapter 17 of the book why really what kind of is underneath this all, and, my mom was Korean, and, she called us one day, years ago with the news that she had, contracted cancer, and so, I moved back to Kansas City because of that, to be closer to her. Lived with my parents for a short period of time, which that's a real joy of at 40 years old living with my parents.
That's
My
a
dad
whole
called
other
me one
book.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very strong Korean woman. My dad
Yeah.
called me one day, says, "You can thank me now." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "I just stopped your mom at Kohl's from buying us matching bathrobes." I'm like,
Oh.
Oh, that's
"Brother."
That
yep.
is
Yep.
yep.
That tracks, Lucas.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
tracks, yeah. And so my mom never cussed in English, but I guarantee you she cussed us out in Korean
Oh
all the
yeah.
time, so
Yeah.
but there was a time when, the doctor said, "Hey, can I stop by? Can you have all the family at the house? I wanna stop by and talk to you." And when the doctor
Yeah.
makes a house call, it's not gonna be good. And I remember him coming in and mom sitting in a high back chair, and the doctor says, "Hey, Chung, there's a point in life when you have to come to grips with your own mortality, and you're not gonna beat cancer this time." And my mom asked him, said, "How much time do I have?" He goes, "2 months max." And the room falls apart. I mean, understandably so.
Right.
Except for my mom. And Leslie, my mom sat there and I remember her shaking her head. She had on a bandana on her head because she had been going through chemo, and I just saw her mouthing the words, "Oh, cancer." And it was almost like she got ticked off in that moment.
Mhm.
Mm.
While we fell apart, my mom made a decision in that moment to really live. And for the next 2 months, she had a lot of different conversations, and 2 weeks before she eventually passed, my dad needed to go run some errands, and at that time, she was so racked with her body was so racked with pain
Mm.
that she needed help getting into the bed, so she couldn't move around very easily, and so I went over there, and my dad left, and my mom says, "Okay, Lucas, I wanna have a conversation." I said, "Okay, mom, what are we talking about?" She says, "2 things. 1, I want you to do my funeral." I said, "Oh, no, I'm not doing your funeral. I'm no longer in ministry." She goes, "Yes, you're gonna do my funeral." And she told me exactly what I
Yeah,
was gonna
she's like, "This
say.
wasn't a
That's like,
Also
question.
tracks.
I
This
wasn't
was
asking,
She's like,
sweetheart."
"Oh, that's cute. You thought you got
not
an
at all.
opinion." Yeah.
Oh, you knew my mom too. It's like she said, "You're gonna say this. You're gonna say this to your dad." And I was surprised she didn't tell me what clothes to wear. And then she said the second thing she said, "Lucas, I also noticed in your career that you're really doing well and you're getting recognized, and I could tell by what you're buying that you're making some money. And I want you to know this. I'm really proud of you." Then she leaned in and she said, "But I need you to promise me something. Anyone can make money. I need you to promise me you'll make a difference."
Mm.
And I wrote a book because I'm gonna keep her word.
Mhm.
I promised to my mom because it's like my shot, how do I do something that potentially could outlive me?
Mhm.
How can I do something that actually helps people reframe the world from their trauma, their leadership abuse? How do I help one beggar telling another beggar where to find bread? How do I help somebody get past a divorce? How do I help somebody get past a train wreck that they may have made in their life? How do I help somebody get past the fact that they're saying, "I have a vision for this," and nobody's following?
Yeah.
Mhm.
how do I really wake up every day and make a difference?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm excited about this book. This isn't that bad. I hope that, there's other things I want to develop as a result of it, but I really want to see people get out of the cage,
Yeah.
outside the lines, live outside the box, live outside the world of limited possibilities and step into the world of unlimited possibilities, because I think I have a shot at doing that with this book.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
I got teary-eyed
I know.
for a
I was
second.
like, I was looking at your.
Oh,
I
like,
was
you know,
thinking
I
mamas.
wimpy
You know,
eyes.
mamas. It's hard to talk about mamas.
Yeah,
You
I've
know?
told that story several times, and I still can actually see the moment. I see
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
where we were. And I tell that story a lot in the keynote speeches that I'm giving these days because, guys, you and I, we've been around very successful. We've been around,
Yeah.
make a lot of money and see needles move and different things. And we've been around people who have the golden tongue that everything that rolls out of their mouth is just perfect. And
Right.
from time to time, I've not done that. But here's the thing: is I think hurting people hurt people, changed people change people, freed leaders free leaders.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that I'm not telling myself stories that cause me to resort to hurting people in order to follow. I want to see myself freed so that I can help other people get freed from their own stories and do what they're designed and put on this
Yeah.
earth.
And it's, it starts with leaders. It starts with leadership or leaders inside of businesses, but the leaders impact the humans, and then the humans replicate what they've learned and what they've engaged in, and the ripple effect is great.
Like
That's
a whole generation of people that do not have toxic. Like, what is it going to be like in like 10 years?
Right, right,
Libby,
exactly.
that's the dream.
Yeah.
In the book, I introduced the what if game, which I have historically used to a negative. Like if my wife's 10 minutes late, I already have her pictured in the ditch and like she's
Yes,
hurt.
yes.
I'm working on it, guys. But it's like, what if I did the what if game, but I did it positive?
Mhm.
So, like, what if Martin Luther King had never questioned racism? What if Steve Jobs had said, "I'll comply at Atari"? What if the people, what if Nelson Mandela had allowed himself to get embittered? And so for me, it's like, what if I could write a book that alters the course of human history? What if I could get on a podcast and somebody listens to it and says, "Hey, I want to stop human trafficking. I want to put an end to it in my generation." What if, it's like, what if I did that? What if then I wake up every day and the world's filled with unlimited possibilities instead of the ho hum of the daily drum?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
well, what if we started creating a bunch of leaders who weren't reactive but were creative?
Right.
Yeah.
Like they created unlimited possibilities out of nothing. What if that wasn't just aspirational, airy fairy motivational speaker stuff, but that was actual reality? That the
Yeah.
best inventions have yet to be, the best way that we treat humanity is yet to be. The best leaders are going to emerge. They're some 20-year-old kid who reads this book or something. What if?
Mhm.
I don't know. But you know what? I'm willing to swing at that pitch until we hit it.
I love
Love
it.
it.
So good.
Thanks, Lucas. This was great.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can't wait to read it. Tell us when it's out.
It's going to be released August 11th, which is, I think, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
All
Yeah.
right.
You
Yeah.
guys are welcome to come to our launch party. I'm going to have the lady from the Dream Centers from Phoenix talk on it. Ben Kinney's going to talk a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit. My other
Nice.
to talk a bit.
All right.
So it's coming out, and probably Audible version will drop sometime in December or so. I've started a podcast and the YouTube channel, but those are just mechanisms, because really the goal is how does a 2.17 GPA Lawrence High School barely get out of high school guy sell many copies of
There you
Let's
go.
see
It's
it.
gonna happen.
Let's see it happen.
It's gonna
You
happen.
know what? But I'm going to keep working until we figure it out. And so,
Love
if you happen
it.
to have Oprah in your cell phone, let her know that.
I will.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We'll
I'll
call
send it
her.
over
Yeah.
right now. We'll tweet her. Thanks so much, Lucas. We really appreciate you. We can't wait to read the book.
Yes.
Yeah,
Coming up
for
soon
sure.
here.
Me too.
All right. All right.
Me
We'll
too.
talk to you
Excited.
soon. All
Thank
right.
you,
Thank you guys for
Lucas.
joining us. And as always, subscribe on all platforms, and we'll see you again soon.